you?
Oh, oops, sorry. It's the morning.
Right? I know. Got our coffee going.
But morning's great. I love the morning. Yeah, especially when I wake up before the sun kind of wakes up. You know,
yeah.
At that 5:45, 6 o'clock area, it's like, I don't want to, but okay. But when you give in to the morning, that's what it feels like.
Man, and today's been a good morning.
Yeah.
It is. I wanted to just kind of talk about our theme this year for HLX. Our theme is a year of equanimity and effervescence. Doesn't that just sound good, right? Makes you feel all tingly inside. Right? So for our viewers, when we first heard that word equanimity, I was like, ooh.
It's like,
that's a big one, right? No, but it's a word. It's like, it makes you think, right?
Yeah.
What does it mean? And equanimity means mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation.
Oh, yeah.
So now, who couldn't use more equanimity in their life, right?
Especially after 2016.
Oh, man. So going into 2017, our goal is to live a life full of equanimity, this mental calmness, and to do it with effervescence, which means vivacity and enthusiasm and energy. And that's what HLX is going to personify for 2017.
Yes.
And that is what Samaya and I are going to internalize and live every day. Equanimity, effervescence, every day, right? But in that, I wanted to talk to you about this TED Talk that I recently watched with this Nigerian author, and her name was Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And if she happens to ever watch this, please forgive me if I said your name wrong. But it's such a beautiful name. It's so strong and it's powerful.
Yes.
And her TED Talk was absolutely powerful. In fact, you should check it out. It's titled The Danger of a Single Story. And I believe it's either one of the top 10 or the top 25 TED Talks of all time. You go, girl. Right? But just to sum up what she spoke about, she was talking about how the danger of a single story, essentially how stereotypes that society or people place on us shape our the way we feel about ourselves. And the danger in that is that the person who's in power, meaning whoever it is that's telling the story, has the ability to change a person's existence, a whole culture's existence, by simply telling the story. Doesn't necessarily mean that story is the truth or it's right, but because that story is told over and over and over again, it becomes that person or that culture's reality. I was like, whoa. And then she went on to give examples in her life how she stereotyped a person or a culture, or how she had been stereotyped against, and how you begin to formulate your thoughts and your patterns and the way you feel about yourself and other people based on a story that may not necessarily be true, and how that power has the ability to change you. So I sat with that for a minute and I was like, whoa, that's powerful. But if we were to take it a step further, and this is where I need you to kind of chime in and be candid, what story is more powerful than our own story?
Right.
Although other people influence the way we think and how we feel about ourselves, there is no greater influencer than ourselves, right? So the story that you tell yourself is truly has the most impact.
Right.
And if you're not thinking properly, it can be the most damaging. So in that, Samaya, we're going to pause right there and we're going to think about this. my question to the community and my question to Samaya is, and not trying to get all personal and in your business, but my question to you is, what single story have you been telling yourself that has stopped you from achieving the best version of you?
Okay. So this is actually interesting because I've gone through this at every stage developmentally. So being the oldest of 18 grandchildren and 4 children, I've always been held to a certain standard. So it was like I always had to do the right thing or lead by example because I'm the oldest and I have a whole tribe of little ones looking behind me.
Right.
But in that, because I'm not your conventional, like, I'm not your conventional child. So you can't just say, okay, Samaya, the sky is blue. And I'm like, no, but I see it as purple because it's purple to me. It's the way that I perceive it.
Right.
Don't be trying to change my perception.
I got you.
And that's just a mundane, like, example of just me being my own person. So I've always been my own person. Like, I've always, did things my own way.
Okay.
But in that, a lot of times the elders in my life or the adults in my life would try to change that. They would try to shift that by comparing me to other children. Be like, oh, well, such and such is doing this.
Okay.
How come you're doing that? Or why don't you be like this person? Or why don't you do that? So as a result of that, me being the pleaser that I am, because I'm an inner people pleaser.
Okay.
It's always, okay, well, all right, I'll try it, but then I'll end up being unhappy because it's not what I want to do. It's not me staying true to me.
Right.
So literally every developmental stage that I've gone through that. I've gone through that second guessing myself, that inner voice of, oh, you're not good enough, or oh, you're not making this person happy, or you're not making your parents proud because you're not doing this. And it's
Okay.
Like, okay, no. So I would say starting in like 2015, like I started going through this evolutionary change in 2015. And I'm finally at the end of that, where I feel like, okay, I'm completely into myself.
Okay.
I know who I am. Like, I know which way I want to go. I told myself that I was going to stop second guessing myself. I mean, it comes up and I beat myself up about it, but my comeback is so much quicker now.
Okay.
Because it used to take me a while to be like, no, I want to do it this way.
Okay.
I want to do it my own way. I want to, take life by the reins and do it my own way. Now it's like I'm going in fearless. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So essentially, your single story was that you're not good enough.
Exactly. Sorry, I rambled.
No, you absolutely.
Okay.
That was not a ramble. I mean, it makes complete sense because I think what we want the community to realize or come to the realization is, how do we get to these thoughts? Where did they come from? Because you can't address something if you don't know why.
Exactly.
Right? So you need to understand the why behind your reasoning or the why you do things. So to me, that was a perfect example. If I were to share my single story, and it's going to be slightly different, I would say just recently, and for those who have been following the HLX story, I recently shared that I had been diagnosed with cancer. And my fear immediately shut me down. And so people who know me, I'm full of energy, I'm full of life, I'm hope, I'm, future aspirations. And I got that news, and it was like I got hit by a Mack truck. And I was like, oh, Father Jesus. It laid me out for almost a month. But I started sharing with Samaya my visions and my hopes, because that's what being in a situation where you're faced with whether or not you have life tomorrow, how much more your life means to you. And I didn't want that to be my single story. I didn't want my cancer story to be my single story, the thing that stops me from achieving what I wanted to do. So in my mind, immediately, let me quit lying. It wasn't immediately. It took weeks and weeks of Samaya. It took weeks of Samaya like pulling me out of the dungeon and listening to me go on and on about my visions and my dreams and what I wanted to accomplish, and her finally saying, let's do it. And I'm like, what? Yeah, she was like, let's do it. And this thing just evolved into this whole beautiful experience and life vision that we are fearlessly pursuing, right? Exactly. So I didn't want cancer to be my single story. I wanted my story to be a story of triumph and glory. And guess what? Mel lived. You know, if anybody said anything, they're going to say, oh, that girl lived. You know what I mean? And she spread love. So our challenge to you is to identify where that single story began and face it head on.
Oh, yeah.
Face it head on, you know, acknowledge it so that you can, what did they say on Bad Boys? Put it in a box, lock it in a box and throw it in the ocean with his mama's titties. What is it? You didn't see that? I'm Bad Boy. Oh, girl, you too young. You just too young. That's the millennial in her. But anyway, for my Bad Boy fans, do you remember that?
I see that movie. I just don't remember that part. Yeah. To be coming at me like
it's
that. It's
something that you don't want to talk about. He's like, you know, put my mama's titties in a box, throw it in the ocean. Anyway, so outtake. But no, seriously.
We're style.
Back to it, though. Identify it. Face it head on. Throw that in the ocean. Let that go. Let 2017 be a year of fearlessness.
Yes.
But calmness.
All at the same time.
And enthusiasm.
All at the same time.
Because, like, guess life is going to happen.
All the time, every day. If that's not the biggest lesson that I learned in 2016, like, literally, I can't even tell. Like, I felt like I was at the eye of the hurricane from January, November. Mm-hmm. Literally, I was at the calm of a whirlwind of a storm all of 2016, and it's like being able to look up and still have hope. It's like, yeah, it's cloudy around me, but I can look up at the center of the sky and see that blue and see that ray of light that's still shining down. It's like, whew.
But how did you get there, Samaya?
How did I get there?
You better say your I am affirmations.
Well, I actually, you know, before the I ams came, it was really being vulnerable with myself.
Okay.
Being vulnerable with myself. And like starting to tell myself some hard truths that I kept like under the box.
Okay.
You know, kept hidden. And it's so interesting because the relationships that came into my life from 2015 to 2016 forced that out of me.
Okay.
It was like a...
Oh, you're so good. I don't know if you did that on purpose.
No, I didn't.
That's a perfect segue into the last part of our segment, but finish up.
Yeah, it's like you're not being true. But it's because I feel like when you come into contact with people, they bring out a certain something in you. You know, because everybody is mirrors. If you look at everybody as your mirror, it's easier to see yourself in people.
Right.
And it's easier to walk into a setting where you don't know anybody, but you know that you have some sort of connection to them.
So good.
It's like, in having that, I was able to be like, you know what? You're invoking something in me. You're invoking me to tell myself the truth. You're invoking in me to be vulnerable with myself. You're invoking in me to be fearless.
Okay.
So